breaking it down in layman's terms. We've got Theo Gilbert-Jamison back again, and today we're talking about clarity and all things leadership and clarity. So Theo, welcome back.
Glad to be here today. This is such an exciting topic, so I'm ready to get started.
All right, well, let's get into it. Almost like a rapid fire. We're going to discuss the 7 habits of a dysfunctional leader who lacks clarity. 7 things you don't want and 7 things you need to improve. So we're going to kick it off with these 7. So number 1, they lead without a clear vision.
Yes, and that's so important because without a clear vision, the department falls apart, the organization falls apart. You know, when leaders lack a clear vision, they constantly change direction. They're chasing ideas. We talked about this earlier. Oh, we're going to do AI. Oh, we're going to do that. Instead of looking at, let's stay true north with what the vision is. Guess what? We don't have one. Leaders that don't have a clear vision rarely communicate, you know, what we're going to be in the future. So those are important.
All right. Speaking of they lead without a clear vision. Let me put my perspective on here. Number 2, they create misalignment. Speak on that, Theo.
Right. When you don't have a clear vision, the team spends so much time trying to guess where we are, what the priorities are, and that leads to a lot of misalignment. So some of the ways to tell if that's an issue is that instead of ensuring leaders are united, leaders that lack clarity or that are dysfunctional in that area, they kind of like perpetuate division. And I don't think it's intentional, but they're creating an environment where the department operates what I like to say a little too independently because there's no vision. So we're all over the place. Everybody's got their own priorities, their own goals. And at the end of the day, the message is so inconsistent. It leads, again, our team, our organization to confusion, complexity, and sometimes chaos.
Number 3, they avoid accountability.
Oh boy, that's a big one. All right. When leaders fall short with accountability, they blame circumstances, they blame the budget, they blame the economy. Instead of taking ownership, you know, that I'm the leader and I should be self-accountable for our successes as well as our failures. They never self-reflect. You know, when this is a dysfunction, avoiding accountability, they never ask, what could we do differently? What should we do the next time so that we don't have this again? And the result is that you end up with a culture or a department or team that is constantly blaming others, pointing the finger, and never taking accountability to make things right.
Okay, we're ready for number 4 and more to come. They mistake activity for execution.
All right, so much busy work. I got emails, I got phone calls, I got Zoom calls, conference calls. You know, they're meetings, they're all over the place. But guess what? Because there's no vision, no accountability, no alignment, it's just a bunch of busy work. At the end of the day, no progress is made. So they're busy. So I like to say that being busy doesn't always mean that you're being productive. When you mistake activity for execution, what you end up is creating an illusion of progress where we're actually still standing still. Nothing's moving forward.
Are you ready for number 5?
I'm ready, mister.
All right, number 5, they communicate reactively.
Oh my goodness. Shouldn't we communicate proactively? You know, that's one thing that Stephen Covey used to say, be proactive, not reactive. Well, a dysfunctional leader who lacks clarity, when you get communication, it's because some catastrophe happened. Now I'm going to make everybody come into a meeting and we're going to talk real quick. I don't care what you had. We got to get this crisis solved. And that's kind of crazy. I mean, sometimes we do have to do that. But a lot of times the dysfunctionality of communicating reactively is that you feel as though I told them that before. You might have told them that 2 years ago, 6 months ago. People don't remember unless you're consistently repeating what is important. So the result when you communicate reactively is that expectations remain unclear, updates are inconsistent, and employees are left again filling the blanks. Poor employees, we owe them an apology.
Number 6, for all my control freaks out there, they control instead of empower.
Yeah, this has a rippling effect. Let's start back. Let's just quickly, the 7 signs. 1, we have no vision. 2, we created misalignment. 3, we don't hold anybody accountable. 4, we just talked about, we mistake activity, busy work for actually implementing valuable things. Well, 5, we communicate only in a crisis or catastrophe. Well, 6 is that as a result of all of that busyness and so on, we create an environment where people are fearful of taking initiative. They're fearful of making decisions. So we discourage, in many instances, empowerment and initiative.
All right, we're closing it out. Number 7, going strong. They focus only on today's problems.
Oh my God. The people have no idea the immediate. Nobody knows where are we going in the future. I always say that a leader, people think that as a leader, we walk step in step with our team. That's good, but we need to be thinking about what's the future. How are we going to get them to true north? How are we going to get them to the next level? So when we focus on only today's problems, we spend a lot of time putting out fires, committing our attention to emergencies and crisis. And if we're doing that all the time, let me tell you, that's a time management problem, okay? But also when you're fighting fires every day and you think you're a hero, what you are neglecting is actually developing your team. So again, it leads to disempowerment, misalignment, no vision, no energy, just a lot of really leading people in the wrong direction.
All right, we hit those 7 dysfunctional habits. Now we're going to pivot a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit more about vision, and we're going to get into clarity, the leadership model. I know you've got an acronym here, so I'm going to kick it off with number 1, the letter C, clarity of vision.
Yes, so let me put my glasses on so I can look smart here. But, when you think about the 7 pillars of clarity, it's an acronym. We did that to make it simple so that people can remember. And when you think about those 7 clarities, it's not intended, the 7 pillars, the acronym, the letters, it's not intended for you to remember each one, but for you to really think about which of these resonates with you. So I'm going to just go through them very quickly. 1, you want to have clarity of vision. Remember, we just said that a dysfunctional leader has no vision, so people don't know where they're going. When you have clarity of vision, people know who we are, what I expect from my team, what are our goals, why it matters, and how they bring value to the vision of the organization. The L is leadership alignment and clarity. And that really means that we are consistently ensuring that everybody's aligned with where we're going. We don't want to have anybody misaligned so they're off in never land where we're trying to achieve these goals. So clarity of alignment is important.
Well, I'm ready for number 3, which is accountability and ownership.
Yeah, accepting that accountability is very important. It's taking full responsibility for results and addressing gaps without delay, and the accountability is on 2 levels. 1, accountability is that if you have to have a tough conversation with your team because maybe they're off track with the vision, accountability means that you're confident to do that because you've been sharing and discussing and making sure that everybody's clear and aligned with the vision. Accountability also is that you take accountability when things go wrong. You're not pointing fingers and blaming other people. The buck starts with us, Mr. and Miss Leader.
Well, I'm going to take some accountability right now with number 4, the R, results-driven execution. Speak on that.
What are you measuring? We know what the vision is. We're aligned. We're taking accountability. We need to have a couple of things that we're measuring so that we can determine success. What does success look like? So in many organizations, you've got a dashboard, you've got an organizational report card, but it's having those key dynamics so that employees have pride and joy in what they're doing because they can see that the things that we're doing to accomplish the vision, they're really working. I can look at the scorecard, I can look at our results, and I can see that we're moving in the right direction.
All right, Theo, are you ready for number 5, intentional communication? Speak on that.
Of course, I'm ready. Earlier, we talked about the fact that dysfunctional leaders, who are also, by the way, disillusional, I want to say disillusional leaders, but dysfunctional leaders communicate reactively. Well, this is really about being proactive so that whatever our vision is, that we're communicating regularly to ensure people are aligned with that. We're doing that in our daily team huddles, in our one-on-one coaching sessions, in our departmental meetings, anything that we can do intentionally to ensure that people know what success within our organization and team looks like, sounds like, and feels like, so they don't have to second guess.
No, I love it. Now, number 6, we're talking about the letter T. No I in team. Well, how about team alignment and empowerment? Speak on that for us.
Yes. If people clearly understand the vision, they have buy-in and know how it impacts them because they're aligned, they're accountable, they know the results that we're looking at, we've been communicating it, they're aligned, and it gives them the confidence to feel empowered to take initiative. So that's really what that is all about. And that's so important in team growth and also in organizational success.
Okay, we're going to wind this up with number 7. Just to recap, the acronym for clarity, you've got the letter C, clarity of vision, the letter L, leadership alignment, the letter A, accountability and ownership, the letter R, results-driven execution. You can help me out here. The letter I, intentional communication, work with me. And the letter 6, we just finished. The letter T is?
Teamwork, team alignment, and empowerment.
All right, let's see some teamwork. Now, number 7, Y-O-U, the letter Y, your leadership legacy. Speak to that.
I love it. When you've done all of that, when you've been intentional about sharing the vision and all the things that Doug has talked about, it really speaks to the legacy that you want to leave. Do you want to leave a legacy of dysfunction, confusion, complexity, and chaos? Or do you want to leave a legacy that Theo really valued me, my leader valued me? They made me feel like I was a valued contributor to the organization. I clearly understood what the goals and the expectations and what was expected of me. That's leaving a legacy. So that kind of like finishes up, our acronym on clarity.
I love it. So we're going to have handouts and more information. We talked about the 7 dysfunctional habits of a ineffective leader that lacks clarity. Then we talked about the clarity leadership model with the acronym. Mm-hmm. And you talked about the word legacy. We kind of close out on that. Now, you're making a legacy. You've done a lot with executive coaching, training, performance solutions by design, luxury brands, and now really working on clarity. So what's going on in the whole clarity space for you as we tend to wrap this up?
Yes, a lot of really good things. We are now doing clarity workshops. We've got 3 this month. And, the question is, are you leading with clarity? Or are you creating unintentionally confusion, complexity, and chaos? So we will take leaders through a deep dive to look at where the gaps, certainly the 7 habits of a dysfunctional leader who lacks clarity helps you to do that. But then to look at the clarity framework and to determine where are 2 or 3 areas where if I worked on these, I would get the greatest impact. So the workshop really takes people through that. There's follow-up. There's a lot of great things going on with that. But also we're doing keynotes, 60 to 90-minute keynotes at leadership conferences, leadership retreats, so that we make sure that our executives are aligned around what they need to be doing at the 20,000-foot level to ensure that there's clarity throughout the organization. And one last thing that I'd like to say is that, and I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but that anyone that is listening to this, if you'd like more education or more information, or maybe a more deep dive for yourself or your team on clarity, and are you leading with clarity and how to move in that direction, you can schedule a clarity strategy and discovery session with me. Complimentary, 30 minutes. I'll listen to what you have to say. We'll try to work out a roadmap for you. So that's available also.
I love it. And as Theo said, we'll have information to her website, her programs and initiatives. As I like to say in layman's terms, conceptualize, visualize, and recognize. And have some clarity out there in your leadership initiatives. Theo, thank you so much. And look forward to seeing more of your work and getting you back on the show.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Breaking it down in layman's terms, putting it in layman's terms.